2015, I started working with this guy I had met because I was selling pot back then. Like I was a pot dealer, but a pot dealer meant like, I was making like a few extra $100 a month selling pot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had floor seats to this fucking Key Arena. And I sat next to some guy for the Rat City Roller Girls, nothing any big.
Oh, I thought you like, what did you?
But so I used to sit I had season floor tickets. And I sat there and I sat next to this guy and we were chatting and he was like, "You sell weed?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Why don't you sell weed for me?" And I'm like, "I don't know what that means." And he's like, "I got like a network. We should get together." And I'm like, "All right." So
all those ambiguous words.
Yeah. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on, but
like it could be really good or really bad.
Because at this point in my life, I had worked for a ton of dispensaries and it was never fun. It was always like, we'll pay you in cash or weed, like whatever you think's appropriate.
Yeah. There were a lot of like trimming jobs then too, right?
Yeah. And I would always take the weed option, which sucked because I knew that they would pay me the amount like that they thought that was the equivalent to. And then I would obviously sell it for like twice. So it's like I would double whatever wage I worked, but then I'm doubling the time that I spent trying to get that fucking money. So it's whatever.
Yeah.
But I met this guy and he this was like right after marijuana got legalized. There was this thing like the Wild Wild West time of that when everything was legalized, but nothing was legalized yet. So licenses hadn't been sent out. And essentially Washington State was like, yo, whatever happens the next couple months, like we're just going to turn a blind eye to. And we're like, all right. So when I got to this guy, he had been taking out ads and putting them in the paper and just we were just selling weed to fucking anybody who called this number. And it was like right next to like the prostitute ads in The Stranger was like, hey, call Tyler for weed. And I'm just like, hey.
Was it actually you?
No. We weren't that bold. But so, at that time I was just selling weed and
that's
like
a really good story, by the way.
The way we would do it was we'd have like a call center. You would call that call number, that dispatch would call me and I would drive over to your house. And I just was mobile at the time and I had like a briefcase of weed with me.
Were you in the Chrysler 300 too?
I was in a smart car.
Really?
Yeah. I was.
What were you wearing? Like,
did you what I wear right now?
Okay.
Like just normal clothes, but I had a smart car. I was doing it first in a smart car because I could just get anywhere faster, and I was the Seattle guy. Like the other drivers were like North Seattle, South Seattle, West Seattle, and I was Capitol Hill, downtown, and Ballard and Fremont area. So
okay,
like, core.
You would have been my guy.
I would have been yours
if I lived around here.
So
all about you right now. This is his story. So.
You sure?
Yeah.
We were selling a lot of weed back then. Like at the time, I had about like 3,400 contacts in my phone.
Nice.
And this is a phone that was only used for that. So
but your phone?
It was a burner. Like it wasn't even a burner. It was it was a phone line dedicated just to that job. And there was about 3,400 contacts in there. So I was selling weed from when I woke up to when I went to bed every day for like months. And we were making a ton of money doing that. Like, I would make what I would make.
It was impressive.
We'll just leave it at that.
Enough for you to keep doing it.
Yeah. And not worry about anything.
Yeah.
So, we just kept doing it. And then it became actually legalized and businesses were opening and, actual companies who had invested millions and millions of dollars to open up their doors were upset about all of these black market areas. So they started paying police officers to do sting operations. And it's kind of crazy. Like big marijuana ended up hiring local police officers to put sting operations to arrest like small marijuana. So one day I was making a delivery and I was doing it at the Nexus Hotel in Northgate. 2 blocks from where I live.
Yeah.
And I sold weed to this guy, and as soon as like the whole situation was weird because like he was using an Australian accent, but it sounded like so fake. And I was just like, I don't know, maybe he has like a brain injury. Like it's medical weed, so maybe he's a fucking
This guy's, I'm going undercover. I'm gonna fucking
Exactly.
take a piss on this whole thing.
An undercover guy used a fake Australian accent the whole time. I was like, why is he doing this? I think he just has a brain injury. So I just didn't think of anything of it. And I sold him some weed. As soon as I sold him the weed, and as soon as I turned around to get out of the hotel, like the door busted open and like 13 fucking SWAT just busted in there and surrounded me and like, you know, held my hands up and like kept my hands away from me. And I was just like, I'm just like fucking being like held up by all these fucking people. And
That's what they're doing with their time, though. It's
That's
like,
fucked up.
it's for
yeah.
I don't know.
So they had arrested me on a good day. It was a Monday, and Mondays is usually when I picked up all my products. So I had about like 5 pounds of weed in my car. And I had like it was 11 o'clock in the afternoon. So I had about $3,000 in my pocket. So 11 o'clock in the morning, I guess. So I got arrested, and I went to like, the thing when you get arrested there, they just send you to the closest like police station, which was right across the street. So now it was like kitty corner to where I live to right across the street from where I live, because I lived across the street from the police station. And the whole time I'm like, I live right there. You could just drop me off, but no. And that was like one of the most stressful nights of my life, I would say. Like I was definitely like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen? And talking to anybody inside prison is like a dumb idea, because these guys, everybody there thinks they're a lawyer. They're like, so what are you here for? And the stories, like everybody's like, oh, I'm here for this. And I told somebody, I'm like, yeah, I got arrested. And they're like, for what? I'm like, weed. And they're like, you'll be out of here tomorrow. And I'm like, how much weed do you have? I'm like, 5 pounds. And like, oh, well, was it just weed? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no.
I don't know if I can take your case, kid.
Yeah. And they're like, oh man, you might be in here for a while. And I'm like, fuck.